Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Good evening to all of you faithful viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's time for the news in the English language. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening in politics. Critics have said the conditions to run for the 2025 presidential race in Cameroon under the banner of the Democratic Front, the SDF party, have been made tougher for ordinary Cameroonians. They say these tightened rules have been adopted as an exclusionary strategy to favor the SDF national chairman and his group of elites within the party. This follows a next decision to impose a 50 million caution to individuals wishing to head the SDF in the election. We will be telling you more in this news edition. Plus, opinions are divided already over the choice of the new kitwear producer from Switzerland chosen by the Cameroon Football Federation, Fecafoot. Details in this edition of the news. And in the second part of this edition, we will delve into this problem of moral degradation or decadence in the school milieu and what should be done. Viewers, those are our major stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin with one of our major lead stories in politics. Critics say the conditions to run for the 2025 presidential race in Cameroon under the Social Democratic Front, the SDF party, have been made tougher or more difficult for ordinary Cameroonians. They say these tightened rules have been adopted as an exclusionary measure to favor the SDF national chairman, Honorable Joshua Osi, and his group of elites within the Social Democratic Front. This comes as the next decision to impose a 50 million caution to individuals wishing to flag the SDF in this year's election. From me, I'm Sander with details.
The decision of the Social Democratic Front SDF party to impose a 50 million franc CFA non-refundable caution on aspiring flag bearers of the party at the 2025 presidential election is not being well perceived by all Cameroonians. Amid a wave of mixed social media reactions, some countrymen see it as an exclusionary tactic from the party's national chairman, Osi Joshua, who already made known his intention to flag the party at the election.
Taking into consideration the amount of the money, which is 50 million, an amount in which when you look within the ranks of the SDF party, you are tempted to say he might be the lone candidate capable of producing such an amount.
Away from the sociological composition of the party, this point is further strengthened by the timing and the context of the decision.
Because we have bona fide members within the SDF who probably want to step into the race. And for instance, they might not have that money. But if this communique came out earlier than this, why not months? It is not today we started talking about presidential election. It has been on for 5, 6, and 7 years now. And barely few months to the elections, you now take 3 days and expect people to submit the file of 50 million. Come on, it's not feasible for me.
However, these analysts agree that the decision could be viewed from another angle, that of reinforcing security within the SDF party.
You discover that we had the Shewa scandal, the scandal that came up in 2023, in which they were having some candidates that were in the long run seen as persons that wanted to hijack the SDF party for their personal gain. We even saw another party created closer to that of the SDF after these aspirants were unable to become the chairman of the Social Democratic Front. So you want to also think that this is a move by the SDF to do away with charlatans.
The SDF, just like any other party, relies on funds. And who are those who bring in these funds? They are the members. I want to think that this somehow is what the SDF thinks is the most appropriate way for them to go about raising their own funds.
Acknowledging the absence of a fixed 50 million franc CFA caution within the party text and laws, The National Communications Officer says the amount is realistic and equal to the post of president. The highly commented decision is one of the 18 resolutions taken at the end of the National Executive Committee NEC meeting of the Social Democratic Front in Yaoundé on February the 1st, 2025.
You just mentioned right there for me, Armstrong Sanders, at acknowledging the absence of a 50 million caution within the SDF party text and laws. The communication officer of the SDF party, Kejan Henry Atembre, says the amount is realistic and equal to the post of president. He sustains his narrative with the examples of the 10th ordinary convention of the party, that is the SDF, and the realities of other African countries. Kejan Henry spoke to a reporter for me, Armstrong Sanders, in this excerpt.
There is nowhere in the text that stipulates that any particular amount, to stand in as a candidate or to pick up the nomination form for the primaries. But what we need to understand is that the National Executive Committee, that is having the powers to determine, to prepare for convention or extraordinary convention, determines what it takes, for candidates to be to run or to be flag bearers of the party. That is just what the text says, and the text is blank on that. You see, when we were preparing the 10th ordinary convention to pick up a new party leader after the demise of the national chairman, John Fundi, we had a very serious debate. The debate was serious in determining the cost of the nomination form. That is what is done. There is nowhere in any text that any amount, any figure is mentioned, even at the electoral district, at the wards, etc. Each district, each ward determines what its people can pay as contributions for the party or to stand for a position. Generally, that is how it operates. Now, when we went for the ordinary convention, the 10th ordinary convention, we had a debate. Some people actually thought of 30 million francs to pick a nomination form for the primaries. Some proposed 20 million, some proposed 10 million, some 500,000, so one person even talked of 50,000 francs to become the chairman of a political party like the SDF.
So that was Kejan Henry there speaking to a reporter for me, Armstrong Sanders. Now let's talk about the National Youth Day, which is upcoming. Authorities in Banga and the Mongo division of the Littoral have urged youth to grow morally upright as leaders of tomorrow, with the emergence of the destiny of Cameroon in their hands, same as administrative officials of the Senegal Maritime Division still in the Littoral region, who ask youth to include the spirit of responsibility, solidarity, love, and living together for a better tomorrow. They were addressing the youth while launching the 59th edition of the National Youth Day in these two administrative units. Innocent Ase with the details.
I declare officially launched the 59th edition of the Youth Day celebrations in Banga Sub-Division.
Nkefo Christian, Divisional Officer of Mbanga, officially launches the 59th edition of the National Youth Day under the theme Youth, Maturity and Responsibility for the Consolidation of Peace, Security, Economic Growth and Democratic Process in his area of command. Learners from different schools served the attendees with diverse activities, including drama, a cappella, and others like exhibition of cultural values. The second deputy mayor, El-Ash Muhammadu Lawal, in his speech enjoined the youth to continue to be responsible in their behaviors and exploit every given opportunity by the state and its partners for a brighter future. A message believed was well assimilated by these leaders of tomorrow. In Edea, Senegal Maritime Division of the Littoral Region, the Senior Divisional Officer, Cyril Ivan Abondo, his entourage and the educational family launched this year's edition of the National Youth Day with a sports walk and exercises. Pupils and students massively took part.
11 février est également un moment phare de symbiose de la nation et je crois que nous allons continuer avec les autres activités et pour qu'en apothéose nous assistions au défilé du 11 février ici même à la place qui feront allusion à la paix.
Authorities here encourage the youth to be agents of peace, solidarity, living together, and promoters of moral values.
That call comes at a time moral decadence is on an upsurge in most schools in Cameroon, and we'll be talking more on that in the second part of the news. Meantime, in Cameroon, new provisions have been made concerning the treatment received by foreign workers or employees in the country in relation to their visas. The Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Issa Chiruma Bakari, validated a circular specifying the terms of application of these new measures relating to workers of foreign nationalities. Let's now have the details with Cedric Chakuchu.
The shortcomings observed in the application of the regulations on monitoring and control of workers of foreign nationality could soon come to an end. Cameroon will now levy a 5% charge on the services of foreign workers living in its territory. This levy is intended to cover the visa cost of these foreigners before the government validates their work contracts.
L'étranger ne devait pas travailler au Cameroun.
Foreigners normally should not work in Cameroon. They only work because there is deficiency in specialized jobs.
Et puisqu'il en est ainsi, la loi les met à contribution. And
more than that, the law makes them contribute to the training of Cameroonians and training centers.
25 a donc revu et intégré tout étranger, quel qu'il soit.
In Cameroon, new provisions have been made concerning the treatment of foreign employees. Thus, to ensure their visa, Issa Chiroma Bakari, Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, validated a form specifying the terms of application of these new measures relating to workers of foreign nationality, in particular those living in Cameroon.
Que toutes les entreprises installées au Cameroun doivent avoir.
All companies established in Cameroon must have Cameroonians as head, whatever they are, Europeans, Asian or other companies. The head of their enterprise must be a Cameroonian, otherwise they have no place here.
Compris par eux, les DRH doivent être des Camerounais. Les DRH doivent être des Camerounais, faute de quoi ils n'ont pas de place ici.
Indeed, in order to reflect the government's determination to recover the revenues arising from the above-mentioned visa, this will strengthen the legislation process.
Now let's talk something else. The Minister of Tourism and Leisure, alongside other government officials, are in Douala to open a workshop to promote our cultural heritage, one of which is the Ndole, and to protect the traditional culinary. This is after the UNESCO in 2023 ranked the sour meal Ndole as part of the cultural heritage internationally of the Cameroonian people. This workshop was also aimed at protecting this traditional meal from Douala. The Minister of Tourism and Leisure, Belobuba Maigari, said the local delicacy from the littoral region will promote Cameroonian culture and traditions across the world. We will sure be coming to that detail in our subsequent news editions. And now in news out of Cameroon, the process of burying victims killed during the March 23 movement, M23 rebel insurgency in Goma in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has commenced or begun. And President Donald Trump, here now in the US of A, has announced his intentions for America to take over Gaza Strip after Palestinians are settled in neighboring countries. Let's now have the details of our foreign page roundup with Lucy Nguisi.
The city of Goma in eastern Congo is grappling with a severe humanitarian crisis as Red Cross workers continue mass burials a week after the M23 rebels backed by Rwanda seized control. The Congolese Interior Minister Jacquemin Chabani reported that 2,000 bodies have been buried. Families of the deceased are still in shock and are calling on authorities to restore peace.
My son was in the house. We were bombed. My neighbor's child was injured, so my son offered to take the child to the hospital, but a soldier shot them. He stole their motorbike. People took their bodies to the morgue.
8 organizations are also assisting in managing the overflowing morgue and conducting burials. Bruno Lemaki, the top UN aid official in Congo, urgently requested the reopening of Goma's airport to facilitate essential humanitarian flights. Elsewhere, Trump's proposal during a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House has sparked significant tension. President Donald Trump stated that the U.S. would take control of the war-torn Gaza Strip and develop it economically after relocating the Palestinians to other areas.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
Saudi Arabia promptly rejected Trump's plan. The foreign ministry asserted their support for an independent Palestinian state, stating that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman will not recognize Israel without these conditions.
Let's now talk sports. Some football analysts have said, or they think, the new kitwear producer for the national football team does not in any way suit a football nation like Cameroon, while others think the decision by Fecafoot is just okay. Their reactions come after the Cameroon Football Federation announced that Swiss firm 14 is the new dresser of the national football teams of Cameroon. This announcement came 6 months after the separation with One All Sports. Let's now have the details with Magic and Gabriel.
The wait is finally over as the Cameroon Football Federation officially announced Swiss firm 14 as the kitwear producer of the national football teams. Some sports journalists say the trademark announcement came as a shock to them because it is a mark that is not known by many.
I wasn't expecting better than this because the indomitable Lions of Cameroon have lost their credibility, their market value at the international level owing to the fact that the infighting in the federation and the poor results of the indomitable Lions has made it that all the top kit sponsors have fled away.
Are we in for the benefits or the popularity of the mark? Don't forget that Cameroon has dropped drastically in world rankings and the image of Cameroon football outside isn't good again. If one of the journalists believes the contract will be more beneficial to the Swiss firm,
football is not really their domain, and I think the contract will be more beneficial for 14 to raise his image at the international level than for the indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
Another says it will help Cameroon's football to leave the current position they find themselves. It's good to go for the essential team, which is money, to fill the accounts of the Cameroon Football Federation. And we hope with this new era between the two, football in the country will be more professional as we have a well-known kitwear producer. Fecafoot is the second football federation after that of Kosovo that the Swiss firm 14 is having business with, though they have dressed clubs like Bendel FC of Benin and Edo Queen of Nigeria. 14 is somehow popular in the domain of table tennis, handball and rugby. Though not officialized, it is alleged that Fecafoot has penned a 3-year contract with 14 and they are to provide a 30,000-seater capacity stadium, 3 brand new buses plus equipment for Elite 1 and 2 clubs alongside referees.
Thanks, Matt. And this note in sports before we move on to the second part of the news. Some stadiums in the northwest region of Cameroon in the days ahead will be used for the Elite 1 and 2 championships as well as the Women's First Division League. The declarations were made by the Secretary General of the Transitional Committee of the Professional Football League, Faustin Blaise Mbida, during an inspection tour to the Bamenda Municipal Stadium and Young Sports Field. According to the scribe, he saw nothing wrong with the pitches, but for some little work to be done on them. About security on the pitches, Faustin Blaise Mbida confirmed that the governor of the Northwest region had promised to provide enough security on each match day. And that does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Let's now move rapidly to Talking Point. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Julian ASAFOR. She is a head teacher. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Now, there has been an upsurge rapidly of moral decadence or moral degradation in schools with the consumption of hard drugs and other dangerous activities within the school milieu. Some blame it on the fact that moral education has been relegated to the background in Cameroon in most schools in the country, which is somehow true. We may have to begin from the basic education. What, according to you, as a head teacher, is the role played by moral education in the life of our children nowadays?
The issue of moral decadence is really alarming in our society now. It's really alarming. Children have put themselves into drug consumption, and all this happens because as they meet their peers, they discuss, they introduce one another to it, and that's how the others are following, without knowing that what they are doing is correct. But I think if all the parents come out, sit up, and bring up these children in the right way, give them good advice, moral lesson, advantages and disadvantages of what they are doing, especially the advantages of drug, then I think it will help our children in our society. It is really alarming. And there is also this issue of things that this trader sells. That is why in some schools, most especially in my school, we don't allow parents to come and sell, anybody to sell anything in school, because they come behind the issue of selling things to children, and they sell these drugs to the children that help to destroy our children. So if parents can sit up, control their children, and schools also should sit up and verify all what is being sold in school, I think this will strongly help the society with our children.
You're sure talking about the disadvantages of drug consumption and not the advantages. Now we have noticed that most schools nowadays do not even have prayer sessions. We are looking for ways of making our children upright. We noticed that in recent times, prayer sessions have been deleted somehow from the school program, like it was in the yesteryears. To instill the fear of the Lord in children, schools are used to insist that children pray in the morning and even during break time. Now, isn't it time religious studies or moral education be reintroduced or reinforced in every school? At this moment, when moral degradation is really high in most schools, even your school, madam.
This moral education that have been rolled out from school has really proved to be a problem to our children. As I can flash back, when we were going to school, we had religious study as a program, as a subject. And with all what we were studying, we used to write exam, passed it, and we have certificates for it. But since this have been rolled out from the school curriculum, we find it a problem. As we cannot pray with our children in school, some parents will say, why do we pray? We are not, all the children in the school is not from the same denomination, so we don't have to pray. There is nothing we do in school with the fear of God. This is what is really disturbing. As we have our attitude of praying in the morning, pray with children, and then give them religious study, advise them what is stated in the Bible, what we should do, the 10 commandments of God, what we should not do. But we can't do that, because when you do it, parents come back to us and say, why have you done this? This school is not a church. You people can initiate my children in things that are not part of them. So it makes us also withdraw from the teaching of religion. So if the government can bring it back to the program of the school, include it in the school curriculum, I think this will strongly help our children to build them up morally.
Prayers and moral education can be very vital in the life of every child's upbringing. And now, Madam, you are a primary school head teacher. Primary school, we all know, is where education actually begins, so we cannot undermine that level. What measures do you take at the level of your school to improve upon the moral standards of the children entrusted into your care for 8 hours daily by their parents?
As the head of the school, we do pray with our children. It is already in our program that every day we have assembly, we gather them, we pray with them, we give them moral lessons. These moral lessons are being given to them on the assembly ground every Monday morning before they go to class. And we told them also it is good to confine everything you do every day in the hands of God. Anything you want to eat, you pray to God. So during break, most of them pray. They know it. They wash their hands immediately. They know that prayers before they start eating their food. So with all these practices here in school, I can say my children here, as concerned moral education, they are all good.
Our children are the leaders of tomorrow. It all starts in school, but parents also and the society as a whole have their own role to play. So, Madam Julian, parents are also watching us tonight. This should be a joint or collective effort to deter children from some unbelievable attitudes which we observe recently. What should be the role of the teachers, the parents, and the society as a whole in the upbringing morally of our kids?
In a school milieu, we have the teachers, we have the children, we have the parents. So all these three work together. It's a chain. You cannot succeed leaving one out. So as teachers, we are there really to bring up these children morally. All the advices that we give them is the part that we play in it. How to behave in school, how to behave in the house, and how to behave in the society. These are the three areas that we touch. Then as parents, it is also our duty to emphasize on the children how they behave at home. Because when they are at home, you must have certain rules of the house to give them. You must explain certain things to them, how you behave when you meet either elders of the family, neighbors around them. They have to give them all those advices. Then as a society in general, you know that they meet others, they know they have elders, we have rules to follow, traditional rules, rulers are there, we have other peoples of the community. So it is the work of the parents also to advise the children what to do at what time. For the children themselves, it is their place, it is their duty to respect all this that have been taught to them. I think that if parents, teachers, and the society, they can put their heads together for our children, we will have good Cameroonians with good morals.
Julian ASAFOR, you are the head teacher of Devio. It is a primary school situated in Bonaberi here in Douala. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. And viewers, thank you so much for always being with us. That does it for this edition of the news. Our programs continue. Equinoxe comes up in about 30 minutes, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now, and see you again tomorrow, same time, God willing.